All good stories need a teeny bit of embellishing here and there.
The 2003 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles show is widely considered to be one of the best TMNT properties, except for 2 or 3 seasons of it. Seasons 5, 6, and 7 of 03, known as Ninja Tribunal, Fast Forward, and Back to the Sewer respectively, are well known by most TMNT fans to be far worse than the first 4 seasons. I agree with this for the most part, although I'll come to the defense of Ninja Tribunal for trying something new and going for a full season-long arc that works well as a final send-off that concludes stories set up as far back as the first season. Back to the Sewer is not that bad either. It was clearly getting held back by missed potential and productions in. The animation for it is not great, but there's some really good stories in the mix, and the final episode alone is a banger. Then there's Fast Forward. I don't like Fast Forward. The animation, art style, and general storyline all got radically overhauled for Fast Forward. After teleporting to the future, the 4 turtles and Splinter now live day to day in the year 2105, with April and Casey's great-grandson Cody housing them along with his robot butler Sterling. Together, they slowly work to fix the time machine that brought them here, but pretty much every episode is about them doing something other than that, saving the day or whatever. Change is fine, change is cool, change is constant in TMNT, but I think some of these changes are disappointing. I think a few of them in particular are really bad. Let's talk about it. The actual premise of the season is good and a nice change of pace from the status quo, but it was not built for 26 episodes of television, and that gets really obvious by like episode 5. It's a massive tonal shift from the rest of the show. Now that the turtles no longer have to hide in the sewers and only come out at night or in the shadows, the whole vibe is just a lot different. They walk around the city, they talk freely to everybody they meet, but also they spend so much time just hanging out in a penthouse apartment, not really doing anything. Fast Forward is a lot different from pretty much every other corner of the TMNT multiverse, because the TMNT are known figures now. So much of the franchise's aura and appeal, especially that of the 2003 show, comes from the ninja part, and the inherent otherness that comes from being a mutant and having to hide from society. Normalizing people like the turtles existing openly in society, like aliens and triceratons and stuff, is not a bad idea. Hell, it's a great idea, but it's a massive fundamental change to the core principles of TMNT, and it takes a lot of work to do it well. You have to add drama and stakes to a radical shift in society like that, and personally I don't think Fast Forward executed it well at all. It really doesn't change that much outside of the environment the turtles live in and the technology they sometimes use. The turtles don't really do anything interesting with the idea that the turtles can now go and do all the things they've been shunned from their entire life. Raph goes to a 2105 wrestling match, and the gang gets hot dogs, and they see a movie in a movie theater, and attend a Met Gala type thing, in suits, but the turtles themselves treat these activities like they've been doing them their whole life for the most part, outside of occasional one-liners that like they've missed out on this and stuff. You might as well just change them to new characters doing these things, because it's weird to pretend these turtles didn't spend over 15 years hiding underground from everything. And really most of their time in Fast Forward is just spent hanging out in the penthouse or fighting bad guys out in the streets. It's really boring. It's like if a superhero show tried to pretend it wasn't a superhero show. They even tried doing a season-long background arc, like with what 2012 does with its semi-serialized format, with Darius Dunn and Shokunabo making plans and hatching schemes to keep the season interesting. But it never quite picks up steam, and the show turns into an absolute slog for 26 episodes. Oh, but unlike the first 5 seasons, now they're doing everything in daytime instead of at night. So cool. See, if everything surrounding the turtles sucked, but the turtles themselves are still fun to watch, I would probably cut this season some slack. I excuse a lot of crap for the turtles, but the writing for the TMNT themselves isn't even that good. It's downright bad at times. Leo has maybe 3 notable moments in the entire season I can think of off the top of my head. Same for Donnie. Raph is probably the best of the 4, but even then he kind of just complains about the future the whole time. It gets old quickly. And Mikey... my god, Michelangelo sucks in Fast Forward. He sucks so bad, and nobody talks about it because nobody's truly watched this season. If they have, it's to say they've watched the whole 2003 show. Fast Forward doesn't have super fans. No, I've watched this show with full attention, sick in bed with nothing but my festering manifestations of hatred for this incarnation of Michelangelo. He's something different. He's not the same at all from the first 5 seasons, where he was a lovable yet easily distractible goofball who fought hard for justice and kindness. In Fast Forward, he's an arrogant, selfish asshole who sucks the life out of any moment he's on screen. Kind of. It clearly wasn't intentional on the writer's part to make Mikey such a jerk for this season. He still has moments where he feels like his old self. The real me is in his focus episodes, which he has a lot of. He's just insufferable to watch on screen for such a long amount of time. Even in the episodes where Mikey doesn't take the spotlight, he still has the most presence out of the 4 turtles. But the episodes where the plot revolves around him tend to paint a less than stellar picture. Individual moments don't really do it justice. I don't really love when YouTube video essays treat a character's individual flawed moments like points to weigh on a scale in the afterlife or whatever. forward. Trust me though, when you're watching the 2003 show and get to fast forward, his attitude and behavior throughout the season really don't make sense after 5 seasons of such a great incarnation of the character. Here, Mikey really only thinks for himself and actively puts people in harm's way for no good reason at times, and it's really disheartening to see when compared to the previous seasons. Yeah, he had his moments in the older seasons with his ego and whatnot. He had a whole running gag where he kept bringing up that he won the Battle Nexus tournament when he truly didn't need to in the moment. But the show also spent time humbling him and teaching him lessons. Hell, they gave him an entire episode in season 4 where he was tested and had to fight to keep the title of Battle Nexus champion. Seeing 5 seasons of growth get reversed and forgotten so that Michelangelo gets to be a comedic relief douchebag when he truly never was before is sad. The best episode to show this problem is, coincidentally, also the worst episode in the entire series, if you ask me, Clash of the Turtle Titans. In this episode, Mikey gets mad when he finds out somebody new has taken on the mantle of Turtle Titan, and takes this person to be an imposter. Even though it's the year 2105, and Mikey as the original Turtle Titan is supposed to be long dead by this point. You think Mikey would think of that, or literally anything other than that this new Turtle Titan doesn't deserve to exist or whatever in this current world? No, even with his brothers pointing it out to him, Mikey challenges this new Turtle Titan to a battle to determine who deserves the mantle in the future when Mikey knows he's eventually going to go back in time. Like, it's confusing and it doesn't make sense. It feels forced on the writing end that Mikey would have such a problem with someone new taking the Turtle Titan mantle to do good, when Michelangelo himself being Turtle Titan was never what it was about. Mikey created the Turtle Titan persona to do good despite the turtles' need to hide from society as mutants. Why would he be jealous that somebody else took on the mantle to continue helping people? The original episode that Turtle Titan was introduced doesn't imply this problem at all. What incarnation of Michelangelo would fabricate the past, put others in harm's way, even death's way, over this? Sure, this is all just to teach Mikey a lesson, but it's not a lesson Mikey ever needed to learn. This wasn't a problem for him before this episode and season, and even when he is learning this lesson, he's still a dick about it. And the show just brushes past it, even though this character development of Mikey learning his place both didn't need to happen and didn't really happen. This is episode 8 of 26. If the writers were trying to make a grand point of Mikey's selfish, egotistical tendencies, it didn't do much because he's still an annoying jerk for the rest of the season. I don't think the writers are trying to make some grand point here or anything. It makes reading through the lines of this episode tough because there's such a lack of intentionality with it. One of the big reasons people praise TMNT 2003 is the writing, and one of the big reasons I hate Fast Forward is because it squanders the chance for interesting stories in favor of character beats that shouldn't have existed, for humor that isn't funny. They don't even write the ending for this episode well, with it looking like Mikey only let this new Turtle Titan exist in this timeline because he's Silver Sentry's grandson. I love nepotism. I don't know if that's the reason because they don't make it clear. A switch just kind of happens and Mikey just accepts this new guy now. The craziest part is Mikey doesn't even apologize or acknowledge his behavior, which almost cost both him and the other Turtle Titan their lives. He just gleefully continues existing. The episode ends with Mikey and the new Turtle Titan metaphorically riding off into the sunset. It's confusing and messy and antithetical to Mikey's character. I hate it. I hate this episode so much. There's also Enter the Jammerhead, where he genuinely truly believes martial arts movies aren't staged for some reason, and Graduation Day Class of 2105, where he neglects his training so much due to a video game addiction that he has to be specially tested by his brothers to join them in graduating as ninjas. There's a lot of episodes and moments in this season that just do not write Michelangelo well at all. You could say Michelangelo is the big reason Fast Forward sucks, or the main reason among many, but I'd say he's more emblematic of the real problem with Fast Forward. The writing. It's just that bad this season. Mikey's not the only horrible main character. There's also Cody. While I could talk for ages about how badly Mikey's written, I really can't say the same for Cody, because he's just not written. You're telling me the great-grandson of April and Casey is this boring? No, truly, when you look at the writing credits for season 6 compared to the previous 5 seasons, it's a telling story. Almost none of the writers for these episodes worked on any of the older episodes. It's a new team for the most part, and clearly the majority had not worked with this show for years upon years like other writers did. This doesn't mean these writers are abhorrent or anything, but when you set up the slate of writers for a season of an ongoing narrative show, and barely any of them have written before in the continuity, it shows. Fast Forward as a whole has a much more cartoony jokester feel compared to the serious, sometimes gritty energy of the original seasons. I'd be down for this change if it wasn't so disengaging to watch, or out of character when compared to 5 years of previous television. Honestly though, it really doesn't matter that much in the grand scheme of things. Fast Forward can be non-canon in your head if you want. It's really not that hard to do. Just think about it a little bit. I don't know. When superfans rave about 2003 TMNT to each other, they already know in the back of their heads that the discussion is truly limited to just seasons 1 through 4. But I don't know, It just itches the back of my brain in the worst way, you know? The fast forward season doesn't disappoint on a fundamental level because it's not a terrible idea, but it's done so poorly where I struggle to talk about it without getting frustrated. 2003 is not a perfect show, but this season really is such a low point, and I wish things had gone differently. But that's just how life is sometimes, you know? Also, Fast Forward gave us Bishop and Stockman redemptions, and knowing the 2003 incarnations of these characters, that just feels like something you'd laugh at on AO3. So you can't hate Fast Forward too much, you know? Anyway, that's all. Bye!
You can do the 1 block jump for the raw chicken, or you can attempt the 1 block vertical jump for the beef.
Here in Parkour Civilization, no one chooses to jump for the beef. It's better to be safe and do the 1 block jump for the chicken rather than risk your entire life for just half a hunger bar more.